This year is actually the first year of a brand new award, because our award program, it helps people who are kind of new and emerging as campaigners, and with our help they can be even better. And this year we've launched a new award called the Sheila McKechnie Be the Change Award, and that's to recognize people who, like Sheila McKechnie, have made a demonstrable difference when tackling injustice and unfairness, and who, like Sheila, offer us lessons in effective campaigning. As you will have heard many other people speak, but Sheila McKechnie was a campaigning force of nature, one of the most eloquent and effective campaigners of her generation. And she stood up against inequality wherever she saw it and heard it, campaigning to create lasting change throughout her life, notably in areas such as health and safety, housing and homelessness, and consumer rights. Her campaign successes have benefited millions of people across the UK, and most of those people don't even know it. It's also the nature of campaigning, actually, when you have really big wins and you work on really big issues. I think this quote from the Scotsman encapsulates Sheila's campaigning spirit and the legacy that this award is honouring. Many people, from the homeless to consumers large and small, have much to thank her for. She was a tireless advocate of upholding what was right, and she rebelled against bureaucracy and the political and corporate establishment with a relish. She was a born campaigner, and with her alert and well-organised mind, she marshalled an argument with a brisk commitment. McKechnie, for sure, never lacked passion or zeal. So the winner of this award will join Sheila in our Hall of Fame, a source of inspiration for anyone who wants to speak out and take action on issues that matter to them. We're really delighted to announce that the winner of this award for the first ever time is Clive Stafford Smith, the founder and director of Reprieve, and he's the winner of our first ever award, Be the Change. Clive was nominated for his long-standing campaign on Guantanamo Bay, where his dogged determination and championing of what are often really unpopular issues has really transformed that debate. Add to this another 20 years of campaigning on a range of issues, including the death penalty and civil rights, and you start to gather a picture of Clive's inspirational and transformative campaigning. And to give you a flavour of his impact, to date, the campaign has helped secure the release of 65 prisoners from Guantanamo Bay, including every single British prisoner, and still acts for 15 more. This is a phenomenal number, and far greater than any other lawyer or law firm has done in the world. Now, Clive's out of the country, so he was unable to join us today, but Claire Elgar, the Executive Director of Reprieve, is going to, in a minute, join me to collect his award. But before I introduce Claire and ask her to come up, I'd like you to read a few words that Clive has sent us to the ceremony today. It is a huge privilege to be the first recipient of the Sheila McKechnie Be the Change Award. People like Sheila McKechnie inspire us all to keep fighting against injustice around the world. She would be the first to remind us that there's still a great deal to be done. From death row to Guantanamo Bay, there are powerless people sitting alone in prison cells, being held far from their families, far from their human rights, and far from any sort of justice. We must work to inspire more people to campaign tirelessly, as Sheila did, for a better future. I'd like to ask Claire Elgar to come up, please, and accept this award.
Hello there. So it seems to be my lot in life not to be Clive, but to come along to things like this and accept awards. He's really, really sad not to be here for this one. He's flying back from America. He claims just to have cracked a death penalty case wide open, which he's incredibly excited about. So at least his absence has a reasonable upside. Another upside is that I can tell you how great he is, which he definitely wouldn't do. And I think I can also talk to the foundation about how great I think it is that he's been the first person to be admitted to this Hall of Fame, because I think there are quite a few parallels between him and Sheila. The first one is that Sheila's mother apparently said of her that she fizzed at injustice, which I love, and Clive is exactly the same. It's inherent within him that he just can't stand it, and so he wakes up every morning and deals with it. I think a further parallel is the demographic that Sheila worked for and that is at the centre of Clive's philosophy. While Sheila was acting for homeless people who were being hosed out of doorways, Clive has always said, his mission in life is to bring power to the powerless. And I think it's that took him to act for people on death row in America. He always says that there's no one who's as powerless as someone who's locked up in a box whom the state is trying to kill. And so he worked for 20 years on death penalty cases in America, and then after Guantanamo opened, he turned his attention to that. And interestingly, he reached out to the death penalty legal community and said, this is the new thing. All of these people are facing the death penalty, and these are the new most despised people in the world. And even within that death penalty legal community, only 2 people would join him on a mission to take on Guantanamo. And here we are, over 10 years later, and Guantanamo isn't closed, but it is discredited. And I think if there is an individual to take credit for that, and obviously it's much more than one individual, but Clive has a significant amount of a part to have played in that. I'm going to tell you a very brief story and then finish, and it relates to inspiring new campaigners. I used to be a partner in a corporate law firm. I specialise in intellectual property litigation. You would think that it was an obvious career path to move on to run a human rights charity. And I was watching a television programme, The Daily Show, Jon Stewart, different Jon Stewart. And there was this awful neocon who was saying how fortunate it was that Guantanamo had opened and that they were torturing people vigorously because this had brought in a great deal of important intelligence, which was now being used. And I was so furious that I telephoned Clive, with whom I'd interned briefly, and I said to him, "This is absolutely outrageous, what are you doing about it?" And he said in a rather irritatingly Socratic way that anyone who has met him will be very familiar with, "I'm actually doing quite a lot about it, Claire, what are you doing about it?" And I had to concede that my patent practice wasn't doing a great deal to eradicate the ills of the world. And anyway, he just rallies people to a flag, which is great. It's wonderful that he's being awarded this award. I love the Be the Change name. I think it's a Gandhi quote. If it's not, then I've done a bad job. It is excellent. I'm going to parry with my favourite Gandhi quote, which doesn't actually fit into a sort of award name, but which fits very well into both Clive and I think Sheila, which is first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, and then they fight you, and then you win. And I think that's where we're all going because of people like Clive and Sheila. Thank you.